In these dynasty dog days of summer, let's do some predictions for who I view as having the biggest rise in the 2024 college season and really rising up your 2025 dynasty rookie drafts. Starting at quarterback, is it a cheap shot taking a Dylan Gabriel here? I don't think it is at all because you look at the last 4 years, he's gone from UCF to Oklahoma. He hasn't played against the best defenses, but he has been an accurate guy on schedule, very efficient, and he's added some upside on the ground. He's not the biggest physically. He's between really a Bryce Young and a Baker Mayfield. And there's going to be those questions about, oh, he's a 4-year guy, a transfer. In this day and age, we've just seen it with Bo Nix and Michael Penix. And with Bo Nix in particular, given that Dylan Gabriel has transferred to Oregon for this really final season of his college career, Bo Nix and his potential success, he could play a little bit of a role in Dylan Gabriel and his potential trajectory and how amenable the NFL is to selecting a Dylan Gabriel, but possibly in the first round. I know the quarterback class is not the strongest for 2025. I've even identified 4 in my first top 12 first round mock, so to speak, way too early version, and Dylan Gabriel was not in it. But Dylan Gabriel, he has every opportunity now with Oregon to make a huge statement. He's a clear Heisman frontrunner, so there's the talent underlying at the college level that we've seen, the numbers, sure. But you talk about now being in the Big Ten. Dylan Gabriel has a huge opportunity against the Ohio States, the Michigans of the world, to go out there and perform at an incredibly high level against well-respected, well-regarded teams, the highest level of collegiate competition. And so if he goes out there and improves, makes another step, Dylan Gabriel is a guy I am very intrigued by. My other quarterback riser, it's Noah Fifita. And talk about size and stature, lack thereof. We're talking about a guy that is a Bryce Young, maybe Bryce Young size. In his redshirt freshman year at Arizona, he walked in, started midway in the year after Jaden DeLora had some injury issues. In his first start against Washington, 3 touchdowns. His second ever start against USC, toe-to-toe with a guy named Caleb Williams, 5 touchdowns, 300-plus yards. He doesn't really have rushing upside whatsoever, so similar to Bryce Young in that sense. But he has incredible playmaking ability. He's got Tet McMillan. Obviously, Tet McMillan is an incredible. He's right at the top of this receiver class. They go back as high school teammates, so there's incredible chemistry there. And with Jedd Fisch now leaving, I think he's got a big opportunity to show that he wasn't just purely a function of Jedd Fisch. Clearly being able to show a transition from multiple systems. In a highly talented running back class, there are bound to be players that just fall a little bit under the radar relatively in this 2025 draft class, but ultimately are going to be incredible values in your dynasty drafts, guys that can very well be meaningful contributors potentially in the NFL after yet again another strong third year in college, beginning with Jaden Ott here from Cal. He has frankly been Cal's offense the last couple years. We're talking about a guy that got nearly 250 carries this past year, continued impressive average of 5.3 yards per carry in a not so talented team in the Pac-12, which had its host of good defenses. And if not good defenses, with a team like Cal, you know what to expect. Jaden Ott being the offense, over 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. He has receiving upside. He is an incredible running back at 6 foot 200. He's got some size. With Jaden Ott, I'm really intrigued with his trajectory in this 2024 season as a guy that's a bit under the radar. With the ACC transition from Cal, which is insane, West Coast to East Coast is just, that's a whole nother debate and conversation. But you're talking about opportunities early against Auburn, against Florida State, against Miami to really stamp his approval, his foot, his mark in this 2025 running back class. He's a guy that I really just kind of have a soft spot for. Love Jaden Ott and his potential rise in the collegiate level, in the NFL draft circle. Katron Allen is my second running back here out of Penn State. He's got the size at 5'11", 221. So you know that Penn State, talk about the weight room there, just athletic freaks for the most part. He's been in a committee with, well, a freshman he walked into at the same time in his class, a Nick Singleton, guy that was a National Player of the Year candidate. And he is performed right with a Singleton. Hasn't quite shown the receiving frequency, but I don't think it means that he just doesn't even have that ability. And talk about, again, similar to Jaden Ott, sustained efficiency on the ground. We're talking about 5.2, 5.2. Again, after an increase in carries slightly, 167 to 172 as a true freshman to now his recent true sophomore year. I view the Penn State offense in general, potentially a resurgence there. Obviously, Drew Aller at the helm there at QB. So potential bounce back year for Penn State's offense. Katron Allen really has an opportunity as the guy that's seen as maybe the number 2 in that backfield to really rocket up your draft boards in dynasty leagues and to gain some favor amongst the NFL and just steam into your potential second round of your dynasty rookie drafts. With both Ott and Allen, I see guys that have the size and the traits to be potential first, second, maybe even third down roles in the NFL. Very relevant players that aren't really getting a lot of national noise or steam, but I think very well are on track to garner that in 2024 and in your 2025 rookie drafts. At receiver, I'm identifying Matthew Golden, a guy that is a Houston transfer now at Texas. And I know Texas, look, even in the transfer receiver landscape in his own team, Isaiah Bond is getting most of the love from Alabama. And for valid reason, he's a very talented player in his own right. And they've got, of course, players like Ajante Cook, DeAndre Moore, now going to be true sophomores that are assumed to be able to emerge into roles. But Matthew Golden, I look at a guy that, as a true freshman at Houston, put up multiple 100-yard games, and in his sophomore year, against the Texas, it just so happened, he rose to the occasion to the tune of 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a guy that I see at 6 foot 190. Sark has already identified him as being key veteran outside help, and he also provides some upside in the return game. Matthew Golden is a guy that I view as a breakout for 2024. We're talking about a receiver class that isn't nearly as deep as we just saw in the 2024 draft class. Matthew Golden has every opportunity to rise up meaningfully in this landscape of this class. I see him being able to potentially, with Quinn Ewers, pairing up to create incredible production that could see a Matthew Golden rise to potential day 2 NFL pick. So then a second round pick in your dynasty drafts, depending on situation, a real sleeper that most people I feel like are overlooking, given the Houston pedigree, lack thereof, given the Texas talent that's already there. What would this video of potential risers, breakouts at the college level, at the receiver position, if I didn't mention an LSU receiver, it's Kyron Lacey, a guy that's 6'2", 215, has some size, was playing, of course, with a Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., was effectively the third fiddle, but now with Garrett Nussmeier, who is talented in his own right, had a good showing in that bowl game. I see him as the wide receiver 1 there in Baton Rouge, having a lot of opportunity to really be that next in line guy, to have a monster year. He's going to be a 5th-year guy. And in this day and age, that's nothing but a thing. Age is nothing but a thing. If you go out there and you dominate, you gotta recognize the underlying skill set and the underlying talent. I'd rather you dominate and show that production than have none at all and just be the pure raw tools guy as a true sophomore, redshirt sophomore, junior. You get what I'm saying? An early declare, so to speak. I would rather see the production against proven competition with Kyron Lacey. Incredible shoes to fill. Does he quite fill them? I'm not necessarily assuming that, but it's very reasonable to project a big-time year out of Kyron Lacey. And again, a guy to rise up in the ranks of this class relative to where he's seemingly currently positioned as this guy that's seemingly in this fringe day 2, early day 3 conversation. I can see him really cementing his place in that day 2 conversation. Ben Yurosek, a Stanford transfer to now the Georgia Bulldogs. Yes, Oscar Delp is there, their hailed recruit, the hometown guy, so to speak, the home state player who is bound to have a significant role. I'm not discounting Ben Yurosek. We're talking about a guy that toss out, the COVID 2020, Pac-12, obviously restrictions out west. In his true first year starting in 2021, several games right in and around the 100-yard mark, a touchdown. He is really similar physically, and really my projection, the upside, as a guy that is really a do-it-all type player, multiple skill set, to a Ben Sinnott of this year. I see that type of trajectory. And with Colston Loveland's, Luke Lachey's of the world, it really is wide open at the tight end position outside of the first couple players in this 2025 draft class. Ultimately, NFL evaluators aren't going to let Oscar Delp's potential preeminent role in that offense deteriorate how they view the underlying talent of a Ben Yurosek. Really like his trajectory, the upside, his rise in 2024 with Georgia. Really excited to see how they look post Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey. Should be, well, a nightmare for my potential Gamecocks back here, but nonetheless, a nightmare in a good way, a good dream, if that makes sense, for your dynasty teams having a tight end emerging like a Ben Yurosek. Oronde Gadsden out of Syracuse, 6'5", 223. So as a quote-unquote tight end, he is a receiver. He is a receiver at heart. Has dealt with injuries, unfortunately, lately. I see he got another surgery not too long ago in this offseason, but he's on pace to be ready for the true summer workouts. He is a player that, with now Fran Brown, you've got, speaking of Georgia, and now Georgia, former coach there, now up in Syracuse, you've got Kyle McCord there. I see a potential huge year from Gadsden as that true alpha to put up numbers reminiscent of his almost 1,000-yard year as a true sophomore. He is a potential cheat code for fantasy purposes. The tight end eligibility, so to speak, and maybe that's where he's flexed out from time to time, but he is effectively a big slot in a lot of ways. If anything, he can be even an outside guy. Oronde Gadsden, really, really unique, tantalizing talent, very fantasy relevant skill set that with Syracuse and their potential rise in the ACC this year, really, really watch out for Oronde Gadsden. Don't tell you I didn't warn you. Let me know what you guys think of these effective flag plants for the 2025 NFL draft class and obviously Dynasty rookie class. Who are you looking forward to watching most in college? And with NCAA 25 coming out around the corner, who are you guys going to play with in your road to glory and your dynasty teams? Let me know that in the comments too. It is a fun summer, a fun time to be alive, to be a college football, NFL football, a dynasty fan, guys. Have a great one. I will see you in the next one.